Welcome to the Teaching Science Podcast.
These episodes are recorded on Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern in our virtual Teacher's Lounge.
If you would like to join us on a Monday to chat about a topic related to science education, go to the calendar in our show description to get the link for the week.
You can listen to the recorded discussions as a podcast from any major podcast provider or on the Superheroes of Science YouTube channel. All right, ladies and children. I figured that pretty much covers everyone. We're back. We're ready for another. And today, Sarah said we would talk about Earth Day in the Teacher's Lounge.
Earth Day it is.
How long's Earth Day been around?
Well,
do they know?
The first day of the Earth.
Oh, come on.
Wasn't it in the 80s? Because I remember maybe as a kid, that's when it kind of first got started. I feel like.
So all those trees are falling already from the first Earth Day when people ran out because they needed something to do, so they planted trees.
The first Earth Day was in 1970.
I was close.
What? Holy cow.
Yeah, there's really nothing legal to protect our environment, so that was a way to kind of force the issue onto the national agenda.
Well, you do see it. I know I got just a couple hours ago an email from our local soil and water conservation.
Yeah.
Where they're doing a tree giveaway that day.
I think my husband works at a local manufacturer here in town, and they are giving away trees.
Well, see. And if anyone wants to, I have some in the fence row beside my house. I'll give you. Yeah, bring your own shovel. So there's that. But you got to have a school grounds where the groundskeeper doesn't
Ouch.
spray it and poison it, right, Aim?
Right. Oh my gosh, yes.
Take it, this has been a problem.
It has been a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, with the outdoor area. That's one thing if you do like an outdoor area. Well, it's cool to have an outdoor area. But if you have a groundskeeper that's not quite on board and they come through and spray your lilac bushes and all of your other shrubs, they tend not to last.
Cat keeps biting. Don't bite me.
Maybe you don't want to know this, but I'm sorry. As my dog likes to bark. Senator Gaylord Nelson from Wisconsin was the first one to start this.
Well, okay.
All right, that's all I got.
So yeah.
Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons why they did it, but it's been going on for years.
I think it's cool, and I think it's a nice way to slide something into our curriculum to talk about the Earth and helping protect the planet. And we frequently discuss environmental stewardship, trying to instill environmental stewardship to our students, because it not only helps them understand more about the environment and be responsible, it helps them be respectful to other people as well. And so it kind of helps all around. And so I really do, all joking aside, I think it's a really good thing. And I don't know what people are necessarily doing for it in the classroom though. What are we doing in our classroom? I mean, I know I've seen some classes, and you always see that one in the news here and there that, they went out and planted trees or whatever. Or some of the high schools, they'll actually do a cleanup. Sometimes I'll see where they'll do a cleanup that day, or a day close to that. And I always thought that was really neat. I always thought it'd be fun to do that with a group. But in the classroom, what are some activities that we have that would be good for Earth Day?
We would work in a recycling unit. I think that covers, and that really covers a lot of different things, especially with the plastics and.
Well, yeah, you're in high school, so you probably broke down actually discussed what those numbers on the bottom of recycling plastic meant.
We did. We absolutely did that, and how those numbers indicate different features about the plastics and why those go in. I mean, there's actually quite a lot of useful things that can come out of it.
Be a good place for it there.
Yeah.
What about it? Hey, Aim, what you got?
Ouch. Other than a cat that's biting me, I don't know why he keeps biting me.
Because you haven't vacuumed it yet.
Well, anyway, so a lot of awareness, I think, is what I do and with the primary grades, because plant the seed of knowledge about what are some things that you can do in the home or at school, simple things, that you can do in the home that would can carry over and start the process. So even we do some trash cleanup, because a lot of times the kids don't even understand that they're littering, and what effect that has on the world, or on the environment. So that kind of thing, I think, doing it just simple. Even a 5-year-old can wear a plastic glove and carry around a bag, and they can help pick up trash on the playground and just talk about, what kind of effect finding litter on the ground would have on the animals and plants and the other living creatures that you would find there. So that's a big one. And it's something simple that can carry over into even the next time they get a candy bar at the store and they open the wrapper. Maybe hopefully you've planted enough of a seed that they look for that trash can versus the ground, just to toss it out. That kind of thing. And then I also like to do which water is the dirty water activity that you've kind of started, where all the water, all of the water samples are all clear, but they're, except for one. I think it's been a couple of years since I've done it, but one of them is tinted with yellow food coloring, or a food coloring that makes it look off color. And then you give the kids samples and they have to guess which one is, do some testing, and then guess which one is the cleanest water. And the one that you set it up to be that looks the cleanest is actually the dirtiest water.
Yeah.
So they can't drink it. So you talk about how you just sometimes you don't know. And then that leads into the discussion of what can I do to conserve water? Well, when I brush my teeth, I don't leave the water on the whole time. Like, I shut it off, and those kinds of little things that kind of impact a 5-year-old, or that's where I'm looking at it from a 5-year-old point of view.
But I like the fact that we talk about what can I do,
right?
And like you said, it's as simple as making sure we turn out the lights. When we leave the classroom, or when you at home, and things like not leaving lights on at home, not leaving water run needlessly. And so
both sides of your paper, during playtime, they want to draw. When they come up and to get a new one, that's a good time to discuss. Did you use both sides? Oh no, or I'm a real big one into saving the leftovers of the other worksheets or whatever that you would do. And not that I do a ton of those, but they do accumulate by the end of the year. And talk about, well, I don't need to use this side, but I still have a whole nother side on the other. Flipping it over, I have a whole nother blank side that I can use, so that's another way of.
That's great. That's something they're seeing every day. They're seeing repurposing,
right.
And it's being just brought to I think you're just raising that awareness. And I love that with teaching them about littering too, because like you said, they might not even be aware that what they're doing. And so just bringing that to something for them to think about is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve, I love what you said about the lights. We used to, in middle school, because you're doing a lot with, you do a lot with energy and kilowatts and watts and all that. And so to have something that measures that, and then, having the kids understand, okay, let's turn the lights on for how long and how many kilowatts did we use? And so they start to calculate, if you leave your lights on your house for how long, what are you doing? So how important is it you just turn your lights off? And the other one we did was brushing your teeth, whether you let the water run or don't let the water run, have them go home and do that, collect the water that they would do if they would let it run the whole time, and then collect the water they would do if they turned it off when they didn't need it, and then calculate the difference between the two. It's a great measurement activity for kids, but it blew kids' minds. And then you start talking about taking showers and long showers, and that being able to turn the water off when you're actually washing your body versus letting it run nonstop. all those little things. And I like what you said, Steve. It's what I can do.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't always have to be a big company that's
Mm-mm.
doing it. It's what can I do individually?
That's just it. If we want to save the world, all of us have to do something. So we start teaching kids that each of us can do something to contribute to a better planet.
Right. And not
Make this
everybody lives in a place where you can plant a tree, you know, so
Exactly.
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So, but there are still things that those kids can do to help improve the environment.
There's always something you can do. There's
Yeah.
always
But that's the thing. I think oftentimes oftentimes I think what happens, I see patterns where it's just kind of the doomsday crap. We just
Yeah.
throw off all this doomsday stuff and, oh, the world's going to end if we don't do more and do more for it. And all this, this is why it's global warming, all the CO2 and this. And it's the doomsday. And I don't think that teaches stewardship at all. I think it's more oftentimes, especially once you get into mainstream media and stuff, it's all fear mongering. And so I think it's important for us in the classroom to combat that to a degree and teach, action.
Yeah.
Action. What can each individual can do something. We all do something.
And you just reminded me of when I taught middle school and we had our team, and it was English, math, science, and social studies. When we were around Earth Day, we always did, the English teacher always had the kids write a pledge that they would take action, and they had to be very concrete in what their action was going to be and why their action was going to help. And so they had to understand the science behind or what they were going to do, but then they had to write the paper, which then brought in that aspect of it. And the great thing was that the teacher kept them and gave them to the kids at the end of the year saying, hey, you mentioned you were going to do this, so here they are.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
We've done something similar. I have in Richmond Summer School with the kids, but with our Superheroes of the Earth unit that we do. And so it's not quite as detailed as writing a paper, but at the end of the unit, we talk about, they have to write down what they would do, so it's very similar, but on a smaller scale. So my point being that even little kids can make that commitment. They're able to do that too.
Oh yeah.
Do you do anything with art? Anything with art with it at all?
Always. Like we torn paper art and all of that's always recycled. Like just like you're talking about like that.
Yeah.
So reusing containers for different things, planting seeds. They might decorate a icing container or something that I've collected, and then we will repurpose those into making them into like flower pots for a seed, or those kind of things. But yeah, for sure.
And I just love it, just over and over showing them that you can repurpose those items and that just reminds them all the time, oh, these can be used. These I use, I see that I have these in my house, but I can also use this for a different purpose. I mean, just because it's that not just recycling, but reusing as part of that.
Yeah.
We also do a little bit with composting, which is also a big thing that kids can totally grasp the concept of food waste and figure out what's appropriate for a compost pile and why, and then what organisms are rely on those kinds of things. And then I've had them have their very own little mini composter I've made out of like a Rubbermaid tub that they got to take home at the end of the unit, and they got to pick their worms. So they had their very own little pet worms or whatever. But then we would add things from lunch sometimes if we could get away with getting stuff out of the cafeteria, but carrots or whatever, the little baby carrots, whatever. And so, or I would bring things in, or if we would happen to have a snack that like apples, somebody would bring in apples for a snack, we would save the core and throw that in the big composter. But then sometimes in the little ones, we'd make it a little more appropriate for that, otherwise it gets too moist, whatever, but so that whole idea of bringing my worm composter in that we have at home, that's got all kinds of things in it, from junk mail to dryer lint to all of it, newspaper was ripped up and cardboard and whatever, and food waste, and then eggshells, all of that, and letting the kids explore that. And then they get a whole new understanding of like what makes a healthy soil and what kind of organisms live there, and why would those certain organisms be in that particular environment, and that kind of stuff. So, and then they usually get to take one home too, and then whether or not they end up keeping it for a period of time, or whether the parents are like, eek, I'm going to toss that out. But anyway, there again, I planted the seed. That's what I feel like. Even if the parents don't follow through with it, then I planted the seed.
Absolutely. I love it. I've never learned anything about composting. And so I think for kids to be exposed to something like that, and like you were naming off all those things like the dryer lint and newspaper and eggshells and different things, that is awesome. And then for them to think about that, then how that relates to healthy soil,
right?
And learning that at such a young age, and then having that background, then when you're going through some upper level classes and you already kind of know that is awesome.
Like vermiposting, is that what the worms are called?
Yeah, vermicompost.
Vermicompost. I think that's just an awesome thing for younger kids, especially. They get to play in the poop. And poop.
Yeah, and really it just takes that first time that they're like, oh my goodness, this is worm poo, and then they're like, oh well, because they learn that they can wash their hands, and it's not a big deal. If you kind of play it down, they'll play it down too. If you have a big thing to do over it. The fun thing too is I've had them help me harvest the soil. So they take the worms out, and then they put those in a different container, and then we use that soil that's left over to plant. I try to, it's usually pretty moist, the one in the vermicomposter that we have at home that I take to school, that gets to be a little moist, but I try to mix it in with some other soil to help.
You want to augment it anyway.
Yeah. Augment it, and then we start over. So we have worms in the bottom of a composter with a tiny bit of food waste and some paper scraps and things, and then it starts all over. So if you can, and then the kids are like, oh my gosh, where'd the newspaper go? Like when I go to check on them in a few weeks, and then you're like, well, and then they're like, no, it's all soil and there's no paper. Like, how did that happen? It's almost magical to them, but they know the science behind it now.
So another thing I was thinking about now, e-waste has to be a huge one.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, stop sending me emails, people.
not that kind.
Oh, that's not what you meant? My bad.
No, that's not what I meant. I mean, I just think about how much, and I remember right, there's something like 50% or 60, some high percent of the toxic waste at landfills comes from e-waste. And trying to, I don't know how they are in your guys' areas, but periodically they'll have a free e-waste day around West Lafayette. And
when you say e-waste, you're talking about computers and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whether it's a computer, monitor, TV, I mean, all these things like that, right? And people just, I mean, if you normally take them, you got to pay to have them taken from you.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times people just hold on to those because they don't know what to do with them. And they don't want to, I mean, especially like those old big TVs. I mean, my gosh, it was like $35, $40 to have them take it. So then people were just finding places to dump them. And then as they were dumping them, and then people would give them landfills if your garbage truck would take it, right? If you could hide it underneath something, people would do that.
Yeah.
So I think there's got to be something with the kids. That'd be an interesting thing to look into. Like what can you do with maybe to run your own e-waste thing through your school to help out? I don't know how you would do all that, but I mean, I probably just contact somebody that does it.
To me.
Say it again.
Waste collection with your local recycling center.
It's a service project.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. I've never had experience dealing with that. I know a lot of teachers take the electronic stuff and they put it in the classroom for an area for kids to take apart and look at. If you do that, make sure you've discharged any capacitors, by the way. Just saying, discharge those capacitors before you do that. You don't want a kid to get jumped by accident.
Might be shocking.
It could be. Ha, 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 ha. But I don't know. I think there's lots of things we can do, incorporate, and it's just to help them. It's nice that there is a kind of a, I don't know if it's national, international, or what it is, but I think it's nice that there's this One World Day that everyone's talking about the earth and everything. I wish it was incorporated a lot more in a lot more places and a lot more than one day. But if we get one day where we can have an excuse to integrate it into the curriculum we're doing, then I think it's still a great thing. And I think it'd be really cool for us. And more, I was thinking about that earlier, because one of our faculty needed some trees and he had to get them in lots of 100, the little pine trees or spruce trees, whatever they are. And so he had told all the department, hey, anybody needs some trees, let me know, and until they're gone. I thought, well, how cool would it be to order some to talk to a school first, but have somewhere to plant them and have a whole school plant like a row of trees. And actually, I was thinking at your school out by that field out back.
Yeah.
I mean, how neat would that be to have every year, every classroom has a tree, and every year, then after years and years, you have a little, actually a wooded windbreak then for your school, which I think would probably be a good thing for your school to have a better break. But and there's room there. And so I just think that would be the neatest thing to be able to do something like that. And I don't really think it'd be too hard to organize. It's so many all your big companies, that's kind of an important thing for them. I mean, I know there's factories here in Lafayette that made a huge deal about their not buffer zones, I wanted to say, but kind of it's the wildlife areas, which is basically another way they said, hey, we quit mowing our big spaces and we let them grow, and they call them wildlife areas or something like that. But I'm like, well, that's actually a good thing.
So much land set aside, I think, to green space or something to take care of whatever emissions.
Yeah, to help offset carbon emissions. And there's another one, and I know every month or more we talk about like the Globe program, but it's that tree app is so easy to do, and it's like elementary kids can use the tree app when we're talking about math and what is a right triangle, and we can run that and understand how it works. High school kids, well, they need to learn what a right triangle is again then too. And so, but beyond that with them, they can calculate the carbon storage of the trees. And so I think that would be so cool to pick one park and every group has a tree or whatever, and we calculate the carbon storage, and then we put that data up on a bulletin board, and next year we add to that. Say, okay, so what's the carbon sink in this? And then we can talk about offset, how much is our school? We can figure out how much electricity our schools uses, how much energy. And so, and start looking at comparing those things. I think the upper grades in high school, we can integrate a lot of that into what we're learning. And to me, it really applies. I'm all about applying to everyday life. And with the younger kids, it's, hey, it's not using a piece of paper and throwing it away. It's reusing that piece of paper until you can't use it. And then can you use it for something else, like a vermipost, or recycle it, one or the other, or something like that. And for the upper kids, I think it's like, hey, you flip that light switch or you plugged in your phone, how much electricity are you using? What's our carbon offset for that? How many trees is it going to take to charge your phone this year? And to offset the carbon. Amy's like, oops, I saw that look. Let's just say it's going to take more trees for you than it is for me.
Yes, I know. Well, and I was thinking about that, when Bill was talking about the energy usage, and so we maybe couldn't calculate that, but at my grade level, but you could do an electronic free day. After you talk about that, so talk a little bit about energy usage and how that affects the environment, but then say, okay, this Friday or every Friday, one Friday a week, well, there's only one Friday a week.
We'll
sorry.
say, we do it on
Man,
the
I tell you
second
what, you
Friday.
teachers now have multiple Fridays?
It has been a long day, so back
Dang.
off.
She meant one Friday a month. That's
Yeah, I meant one day a week, and in my head I was thinking Friday, so anyway, one day a week the kids could you could make it a electronic free day in the classroom, and that includes YouTube or whatever else that I generally rely on to help the day run a little quicker, a little smoother. But no iPad, no Chromebook, whatever, like take a break.
That would be a fun challenge. I don't know if once a week if it'd work. Some classes I think it would. But then as we start going up higher and higher levels, there's classes we couldn't do that in. If they're
Right.
one-to-one and all of your resources are on there. Well, I
that's
say we couldn't, but then it's like a couple hours ago, I'm like, you can't tell me I can't do something. I can do anything. Let's go figure it out. And so I guess we can, but we would have to go a little old school for some assignments that day. But I'm thinking once a month, we could
Yeah.
not only do it in the classroom once a month, what about challenging them to do it at home in the evenings once a month?
right.
All right, maybe once a year, because they can't live without the internet and TV.
I bet they could though. I bet they could.
they absolutely could.
I know
And
they could.
this is kind of cracking me up because I'm thinking about, we lose power pretty regularly, and well, I don't know, at least once, a winter, and
Well, you guys were losing power like every other
I
week,
know.
or every other day there
it's
for a
kinda
few
dep-
months straight.
or it kind of depends, but it's always funny because we get so used to it, and the kids think, oh, we just everything, and then we lose the power, like, oh, well, we should go, let's just turn on the TV. Well, you can't because,
Mhm.
well, let's go in, let's flush the toilet. Well, you can't because we're waiting on it.
Yep.
You can't turn
Yeah.
on the thing. You really shouldn't open the refrigerator. Like, it's just all these things that you really have to think about. Oh yeah. And
We used to do no technology Tuesday at our house for quite a while.
Mhm.
how'd that go?
You know what? It started off rough, but after a while they got kind of used to it.
Yeah.
But then as my older kids graduated and left the house and we started getting more lax, we just quit doing it. But
Mhm.
one other thing I was thinking about for high school kids, and I looked this up while we were talking. I remember watching the movie The Plow That Broke the Plains, and it was about the Dust Bowl and all the issues they had with people trying to work the ground and do all that, and it just caused massive problems. Well, then there was two other ones right below it. There's another one called The River, and it's about the Mississippi and all the issues they had with people having topsoil that was swept downstream over the years and causing all kinds of floods. And then the other one, the river and the other one, The Sea Around Us, I haven't seen, but they're both two movies. When I looked up The Plow, those were two other movies that they had talking about things you could show for high school kids during Earth Day.
Mhm.
But the Plow one, I remember watching that. I mean, it must have been in high school. And I remember just
I've never.
watching the video
Did
footage.
they have plows back when you were in high school, dude?
No, we didn't. We actually went out and dug with our pinkies.
I thought you used stone tools, didn't you?
No, we didn't have those either.
They didn't have those yet.
We weren't there yet.
I couldn't remember when you invented the wheel.
I,
oh my goodness.
the wheel's been invented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely good to have some resources. I pull up my calendar. I can never remember which day Earth Day is, but you think I'd remember that.
The 22nd.
I always want to say 23rd, but
Me
know
too.
what.
Well, how about this? Say the 22nd.
all right, sure. You think I could remember that one?
Did you celebrate a lot last year? It was the 50th anniversary.
We did some stuff with Globe last year. We did a few things with them, but last year was COVID, and so
Yeah,
really
what I-
a whole lot of celebrating going on anywhere.
Made a post on Dojo. I think I might show them how to make a recycled something out of a craft out of a recycled container. But that was about as exciting as it got.
Yeah. So last year was a
Virtually.
struggle. It was a struggle. But so 22nd. So okay. All right.
That's this week.
Yes.
Yeah, it is Thursday. So yeah, but it's like I said, I would like. I think ideally we'd have a lot more of these things more often. It'd be nice to get that kind of spread and beyond the classroom and through the classroom through the year, and to do it more than just one day. I mean, okay, let's start here on Earth Day talking about it, but there's no reason we can't keep some actions going. I know I've been in different schools where they've had some classes that were doing some really cool things, and those classes would go around and like get all the recycling in from the classrooms once a week or twice a week, whatever it is, and sometimes it's like a specials class that does that. Um, but it'd be kind of nice if all of us did a little bit more, I think, and that could be cool. I know, Amy, you do a lot of reusing, repurposing things in your classroom with your
Mhm.
little. And I don't think we can say makerspace. I know we did when we did that episode on that, but I don't think we can say that. I think it's like a trademark thing.
Oh,
I think I
Oh.
changed the title when I released it to makerspace like area.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that. I told you I didn't know.
I didn't know.
But yeah, I
I've
think
heard it
that's
so
like
much. I just
yeah,
figured it was
I think it's a trademark type thing. But for some,
Free play with trash.
So we
there
can't.
you go.
So we can't say like McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's on here because it's
Probably
trademark.
not. Probably not. Unless well, no, I don't think we're allowed to have sponsors, and so that won't work.
Gee whiz.
So if they sponsor your trees in your outdoor area next year, I guess we could give them a shout out, can't we? All right, hear that, all those businesses out there? Let us know what schools you're sponsoring for trees for all students to plant next year. We want to hear about it. Give you a shout out. Thanks for hanging out with us in our virtual lounge.
Please like, download, and subscribe and share the love.
Oh, I was going to say share the love.
Find us on Facebook, Twitter,
Twitter, YouTube,
and follow us everywhere.
just not in a creeper way.